put it out.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to YOUmedia Miami's Virtual Podcast. We're representing the Miami-Dade Public Library System, and I'm Vianney, and we're going to go around and introduce ourselves.
Hey, what's up? You know who it is. It's your girl Shamir here.
And it's your boy, Chris Miller.
And today we are discussing everything that involves culture and beauty in the media. So we have a couple of questions we're going to go around and discuss today. The first question that I have is, in your opinion, what beauty standards are portrayed in the media, specifically social media right now?
Ooh,
you have to be lighter skinned. Lighter skin is always the most attractive skin. You have to be, it's two sides of the coin. You have to be obviously fit, but there's two types of fits, I guess, in the culture out right now. For the guys, it doesn't matter if you're on the skinnier or heavier side, as long as you have muscles. Gotta have muscles. Gotta be muscular. And then, as long as you're not too muscular, that's actually not good. People will be like, why is your arm as big as, like, I don't know, anyway. And then for the lady side, once again, lighter skin. But you could be, in some cultures, it's like skinny is all the, skinny. And then obviously, especially in the, I think more in the Black communities, slim, but as long as you have, if you look like this.
Curvy.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah. What about you, Shamir, when it comes to social media?
Yeah, I agree with Chris as far as people with fairer skin do get a more of an advantage in social media, or if you're mixed, like if you look exotic, you're like superior to everyone else. For women, like if you're tall, like Chris said, fit or skinny, like if you have that model physique. If you're rich, you gotta look like you have money, wear designer clothes, brands, get like endorsements, because a lot of influencers, they sell like stuff. So there's that. Guys, I do agree with Chris, like muscular. For guys, if you have like a beard, you look like Drake or like the Chris Browns, and that like also like colorism kind of plays, like light skinned guys tend to like attract more people. Yeah, as long as you rich, you dress nice, whether it's formal or casual, you know how to dress. Yeah, you tend to get more followers. For sure.
And what about in the media? I mean, not in the media, but what about in movies? Is that the same trend?
Yes.
Television,
yes.
Not only with the way you look, but certain things that you do. So in a way, it's still kind of, it's sophisticated, but in some ways it's still shallow. Like, so it's the guy who obviously, once again, muscular, but the way he, the way he kind of carries himself, but in a shallow sense, kind of like you have to be not the hero. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna piggyback. I'm gonna help you out. All right. So in movies, there are a lot of stereotypes. And I feel like we're talking about like the African American colorism. Specifically, like colorism is a very real like issue. So you have a lot of TV shows like even back in the 90s, when you look at like the main characters that were Black, they were most likely light skinned. Like if you look at Martin, Gina, light skinned. The Cosby Show, the mom was, she was brown, but more like lighter, you
like
know.
a caramel complexion.
Yeah, A Different World, the main female character, Whitley, light skin. So I don't know, it's the stereotype that like women, specifically women like with fair skin, were looked to be more classy. Like they're the classy, sophisticated women, whereas like darker skinned women were always stereotyped as like the loud, obnoxious, ratchet, you know, women. And same thing with the guys. Like, if you look like, I don't know, I'm gonna bring him up. Like, if you watch a lot of Tyler Perry movies, y'all see Tyler Perry movies. Like, he would always like cast the light skinned guy as like the savior of the woman, you know. And then the Black men were always like the abusive, the super abusive husband, and the drug dealers were always dark skinned men and things like that. So yeah, I think that now looking back, that really, really eye opening. And even now, I feel like now it could get better. It's kind of the same. Like if you look at how many dark skinned female main characters are there, I can only think of like Viola Davis with How to Get Away with Murder, or but yeah, like even on Netflix, there's this African show that's really popular right now. And it's like a light skinned woman, and it's like, yo, that's not a representation of majority of Africa. Or not light skinned, you know. It's called I think it's called Sono.
I think I've heard of it.
It was like Netflix kind of highlighted it, and I was like, okay, let me check this out. And it's like all the bad guys or like dark skinned women, and then the heroine of the show is like a light skinned African, which is like, I don't know, kind of weird to me.
Definitely.
And I feel like there's another show. Oh, I don't know if you guys seen Black as F, Black AF. And I know like a lot of people on social media were kind of bashing that show too, because it was like, how you gonna call a show Black AF and like the whole family's like light skin. Like the whole family's light skin. And kind of like bougie, like Fresh Prince bougie. So yeah, I think there is still a lot of things that need to get better as far as representation in media and TV, for sure.
Definitely. And for people watching, they don't know, like, we're discussing colorism, and it's when you discriminate against someone of a darker skin complexion because you uphold lighter skin as being superior. And this happens across the board as far as every country, where they uphold like traditionally Eurocentric ideals of beauty or white beauty standards. The closer to whiteness you are, the better and more valuable you are in society. It can affect, colorism affects you getting jobs. It affects like adolescents in school, where the light-skinned children will get favorited or deemed as smarter. It affects you in the media. Not only does colorism solely affect dark-skinned people, it does, in a sense, affect light-skinned people as well. Although light-skinned people have privilege, there are a lot of negative stereotypes that also can be placed on their light-skinned counterpart. And it's not to take away from anyone who is dark-skinned, but usually, like, those stereotypes in the media I've seen, you'll have the light-skinned woman, and she's always the quote-unquote stereotypical prissy one, bougie, stuck up, and that's very divisive. Because you have like the dark skinned woman, she's labeled as sassy, ghetto, quote unquote, aggressive because of the color of her skin. But then you uphold this light skinned woman, but at the same time you're calling her bougie and stuck up. And it's really separated, and like destroyed families and just communities of color across the board. So yeah, it affects, I think every race, especially if you're a race of color, they're affected by it. Like even in the Bollywood movies, I've heard a lot of like my Indian friends will say like they'll cast the lighter skinned Indian people to play the role. If I talk to my friends who identify as Latin or Hispanic, they'll say in like novellas, like you don't really see a lot of like, dark skinned Hispanic people. It's usually like the very white adjacent actress. And across the Black community, we already know like what's happened in America with slavery. But then you have Africans all over the world, but especially in Africa, like skin whitening creams are prevalent. And I would say like most communities of color, I know a lot of Asian products and Korean products have skin whitening creams. African, if you go to a drugstore in African countries, sorry, I'm getting tongue tied, skin whitening products, even Jamaica, America, India, everywhere. Everyone's trying to achieve like this standard of beauty. And social media as well, like you'll see hashtags like team light skin, team dark skin, which I also think are like is very divisive. And you'll see Instagram pages that are like team mixed girl and exotic, but just calling someone exotic alone, especially people of color, is problematic because exotic means a foreign. So usually a plant is exotic, or you know, I think an animal could be considered exotic, but placing that on a human being is like very problematic in itself. And it also is exotic because you're deeming a person exotic because they're not white, which is the quote unquote standard of beauty. And you're kind of like fetishizing their physical features as well. So it's a layered issue, but the next question, what beauty standards do males, so maybe Chris could speak for the male, do you feel pressure to achieve? So you talked about like the 6-pack and everything. Growing up, did you feel a pressure to have to look a certain way?
I still feel the pressure of the 6-pack. But yeah, no, growing up, it was definitely height. You know, I feel from my short brothers. Mike. It was definitely height. Definitely, Shamir brought it out. I didn't think about it, but it was definitely clothes. Like, if you, not only the swag, I mean, you can have swag, but still be poor. But still, like, if you had the stuff that, a lot of people found attractive, like, whether it was Jordans, or if it was not Jordans, it had a brand to it. It didn't have a name brand clothes, you were deemed less attractive as a guy, and for a woman too, but definitely for a guy. And the obvious is definitely how muscular you are. At one point in time, not at one point in time, also is how hard you seem to be. So if you could fight, or if it's how much respect you have as well. So that kind of goes to the way I was trying to touch into that with the way you carry yourself. There's a good thing about it, but the negative side to it is it's trying to. You had to be like the top dog all the time. So a little bit of fame dealt with that. So if you were the popular kid, that somehow upgraded your attractiveness based on how popular you were. If no one knew you, I don't know why. No one knew you. I don't know. So height, muscular, name brand clothes, popularity, which following that, your respect and how hard people seem It was different though. It's different amongst certain cultures because then you have there was how smart you are. That was definitely an attraction to some. It's like, if you're talented, and then for me at the time, I remember keeping my afro intact. You know, I had an afro. I had to make sure it was looking like the Jackson 5. But that's just a few.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think also like you named a couple of great things, but especially the clothes, like that adds to your aesthetic. I find no matter where you grew up, you could grow up in like a poor neighborhood, a rich neighborhood, suburb, city, doesn't matter. It's like if you don't have the latest fashions to add to like your aesthetics, like you get clowns, people judge you, and it shouldn't be that way. That's interesting. So Rachel, I don't know why I'm saying Rachel. Rachel's one of our other staff here at YOUmedia. I meant to say Shamir. What about you? Like, growing up, did you feel any pressure to standard? Or even now, I mean, we still feel pressure now as adults as well.
Now, and as a teen, I would have to say no. Well, maybe a little bit when I was younger, because I was like, because all of us when we were teenagers, it's that weird stage, like you're trying to figure out who you are. And I know for me, I was like, I grew up like really insecure because I was always, I don't know, I always felt like different from everybody. So I want to say I don't know. I was never the type of person that like tried to conform to culture in a way. And as I got older, I kind of grew this confidence and boldness in myself. And I think that affected, like, that showed through like my fashion, like throughout my teens up till now, people would say like, man, Shamir, you dress so cool. And I'm not trying to be cool, it's just me. I don't know. People like think like I plan like my outfits and stuff like that. I'm like, no, like I literally woke up, got in the shower, and just.
That girl be swagged out, yo. She has a closet.
Yeah, like my friends are like, Shamir, you always look on point. Like you're always dressed on point. And it's like, what's your secret? I'm like, I don't know. Like I showered, I just dress like how I feel, and I don't know. That's just a confidence. I feel like that grew on me personally, and once you have like confidence in yourself and that self-love for yourself, you don't really care how culture or people look at you. So that was a journey I went through personally. So cool just came natural to me. I guess.
Yeah.
So you didn't feel much pressure?
No, I want to have like I want to say like friends pressured me to dress a certain way. I don't know. It's just like I said, like a self-love journey I went through, and to become who I am today. But I would say I am influenced by like culture and like fashion. But I want to say like I look at like a specific person, I'm like, I have to dress like this person, I never had that feeling. Or if I didn't have the Jordans, through my whole life, I think I had one pair of Jordans in my whole life. Like, I think, it was like, I don't remember the numbers. I don't know like what number it was. I was never like a sneakerhead or anything like that, but I love like clothes and pants and stuff like that. So, to answer the question, like, no, I wasn't like pressured to do that. No.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Can I share just some that are coming to my mind? Then Vianney, I want to hear from you. Because also, Fiani, you're in the modeling.
My
That's true.
past life.
So I definitely, but one thing, you can testify. So I'm going to just kind of rant a little bit just from what I remember. So though a lot of beauty standards were pushed to like, the typical, not typical, but a Caucasian female. There were certain things that were then adapted and wanted to push to what, a black female tributes had as well.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I remember was obviously for things to be more full or round. And so, what parts I'm talking about. But besides, someone's behind or someone's chest, also lips.
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I look at all the plastic surgeries people they get.
Mm-hmm.
And so what are they trying to achieve? I don't know if I'm jumping the gun with some of these questions, but what are they trying to achieve? So I look at, okay, people usually get plastic surgeries for the butts, for the breasts, and then for lips. And so
Mm-hmm.
I find I don't know, it's kind of ironic in a way, but then, yeah, I see, it's because I remember people, they would make fun of, so I got big lips. But then I remember, I don't know if it was at a point of time things started changing, but like big lips were associated with like black people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, you got big lips. But then it came to a point where it's like, oh, if your lips are too thin, that's not this beauty standard anymore. And I'm like, what? So it changes, by the way, this changes, but today I see how it's adopted some of the features that are predominant in black people.
Mm-hmm.
I do see what used to be, I don't know, at least to some cultures, what used to be ugly is now, they want to mimic it.
Yeah, it's very true. I agree with you. I saw like growing up in school, if you had like wider features, more prominent features, like whether it's your lips or nose, what have you, like you would get teased, and they would also associate that with blackness, and deem it as ugly. But now it's like a trend to get lip fillers. I'm trying to think of how I can say this. So this is my personal opinion. I think when you have like women or people of color, it's like you want to be black, but you don't really want to be black. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you want to pick pieces of blackness that you deem attractive or sexualized or fetishized in a sense. So you want to be curvy. You want the curves that you make it, the butt injections and like, to make yourself curvaceous, or you want the full lips because it's looked at as more attractive or quote unquote sexy. And just different features of blackness, but you don't want everything. Like, like you want the light skin, you want to be as close away as possible, but I want my lips not to be thin, I want it to be bigger, or like that was like that with curly hair too. Like you would get teased if you have really curly hair to really coarse hair, like very fine curly hair to coarse hair. Now it's like a thing to have curly hair when it used to want straight hair. A lot of people wanted straight hair. I can't speak for everybody. And you didn't want your hair to be nappy, so you would get a perm, quote unquote nappy. I don't like that word, but coarse, so you would get a perm. So it's interesting. But even now, like the natural hair community is growing and it's becoming more acceptable to like rock your natural hair. But even in the natural hair community, you see on social media, what gets praised is like, I don't know the 4C, 3C, I know that's out there, but the more finer hair types. Like you have to have those silky curls, and it's never like the fro, when in all actuality, it's all beautiful. The hair, it grows out of your head, it's beautiful. Like, we aren't all born to have thin lips or big lips, but everybody's beautiful in their own way, and they should just embrace their features.
So I want to ask, you being in the modeling industry, what was you pressure as? And I know you have some real experiences.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like for you?
So to clarify, in my past life, I did model. I did something called micro influencing. So I didn't have a huge following on social media, but I had a little following. And I was trying to get more into more behind the camera work, and I kept getting pulled in front of the camera. So I just went with it. The whole modeling thing, and like being a model has changed. So now you have like your Instagram models, you have your influencers who also may be considered Instagram models. You have your high fashion models. So I was never a high fashion model because I don't have the height or the build for that. But I think the good thing about social media is it gives visibility to artists, all artists, and their work. So you can classify yourself as like, you have commercial modeling too, but you could classify yourself as a model and build up your portfolio by really collaborating with upcoming photographers or just maybe well-known photographers, and like building up your portfolio yourself. And that may lead you to bigger gigs. So with my social media, it started leading me to making a YouTube channel and doing like natural hair videos and some fashion videos. And that was great. Did I feel pressure? Yes. So I felt pressure to look a certain way because I would follow people in the industry who had larger followings. I would see in who was getting more likes, like what type of quote unquote look was getting more likes. So yeah, I felt pressure to achieve better pictures and look a certain way. And I would compare myself to these big time influencers who may have had lip fillers and plastic surgery. You don't know what little thing they did to like touch themselves up, or maybe they're photoshopping their pictures and face tuning. But when you look at social media, you don't always think about that. You just see the final product and you see like a highlight reel, and you don't realize that it's really posed. And if you catch their tag photos when they're off camera, they might look a little crazy or just like their normal selves. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was hard for me, but I also recognized like it was confusing because I knew my privilege. I have privilege as a light-skinned woman. I have privilege having my hair texture. I could just wash my hair and go and it curls, or I could just like throw some product in and go. And with my friends who may have a coarser hair texture, whether they're dark skin or light skin, they don't have that ease when it comes to doing their hair, or they may not get looked over for a modeling gig with certain brands. And I'll be like the one black person there. Like they fit a quota when I used to go to like casting calls or like have to do natural hair modeling. It's like, okay, we have our black girl, mixed girl, maybe Afro Latina. Like I would fit like the box, but she black or she close to it, so she fits it. But you have so many other women who can do this, especially dark-skinned women, but they put me through the door. So it was kind of confusing because I knew my privilege, but then also like I still felt like I had to live up to these beauty standards to get ahead.
I think you brought up a good point. You brought up a really good point as far as like, I think also nowadays is the way you take a photo of yourself to show your beauty. And obviously the more exposing it is, especially more on the females and males, that's what gets more likes. So that's what I guess people consider more beautiful. Because if someone is, let's say not as exposed, or just whether it could be family photos, it could be a photo of you just, I don't know, doing something, whatever it may be. If it's not exposing yourself, you won't get as much likes. And I know I've heard it, I've seen it. where that really does impact the way people see themselves and how beautiful they are. It's like you have to be willing to expose yourself more, as far as physically.
Definitely. And that's
Very true.
very much a pressure. Yeah. I guess learning lesson from that is I had to take a break. Like I stopped modeling because I wanted to focus on like, what do I really want to do? What do I really want to give to the world through my social media? You can, fashion is fun. Like it's kind of like what Shamir says, like how you feel. But when it comes to just like outer beauty, that's not what I want to push to the world. So I needed to like also tailor my Instagram to positive images that uplift me. Like I don't want to see a whole bunch of negative comments like team light skin, team dark skin, or I don't want to see a whole bunch of Instagram, skinny tees, Instagram models, skinny tees, waist trainers. Like that wasn't feeding my spirit. And it also kind of was like altering my gaze and outlook on women's bodies. And I had to follow pages that showed all type of women, all type of skin complexions, everything that uplifts the community. So yeah, I had to take a break from modeling for that reason. But I did love it. It was fun. I mean, it's perks. You get like, it's good money. You get free products. Like that's a perk. But I think also like as a light skinned woman and when you're dealing with colorism, I feel like it's my duty to, once I get through the door, like I'm trying to get everybody through the door. Like I know if I have a way in somehow, I'm going to try to get my friends in if they're capable. And, no matter what skin complexion you are, but especially if they're capable and they're dark skinned, they deserve to be there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I like praise like beauty companies like Fenty. Rihanna, she's really big on, like we said, like body positivity. I think that's the term. So like in her shows, I don't know if you haven't seen her Fenty Savage fashion show, I encourage you to watch it because it's amazing. So yeah, she has like models, different colors, black, white, whether you're petite or through your plus size. Like it was really, really awesome to see that, like, because you don't see like plus size models, like, and a lot of people could relate, like, wow, she looks like me, and stuff like that. So I praise brands like, shout out to Fenty Beauty, shout out to
Definitely.
Rihanna.
I think she also had a disabled model as well, in the show, if I remember correctly.
I have to watch it again, but yeah, probably.
Probably.
I think she had like a prosthetic leg. And she was like, she was modeling. I think she was dancing or maybe modeling stuff. But go watch that show. I mean,
Yeah, weight is definitely a big factor too. Another that people look at, like what can you fit in, or if you're too big for this, then I've seen that even with guys too. Obviously, if you're like more overweight, it's less attractive, and I understand there's a health aspect, but I'm talking about just for basing someone's beauty just because of their a little bit, whether they're like too skinny or too big. But some other things I've also noticed too. I want to talk about it again, especially in the modeling industry, because as you were sharing, it made me think two things: teeth and your smile. I know that also depicts beauty. And then your skin.
Skin, yeah.
Clear or whether it's clear or not, and how makeup plays a role in that. So teeth and skin. And skin, as far as like not how light or dark it is, but how clear it is.
That's true.
That is true.
What were you gonna say?
No,
like, so I'll
Oh,
share.
Yeah,
so
go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
If you were gonna share, I'll just share a quick example.
No,
If
you.
someone had either a gap, if someone had over the teeth where it overlaps, or someone had an overbite, I have an overbite, and or someone has just something off. If it's not that perfect smile, I remember people would be like, "Oh, they're ugly." As soon as they smile,
Mhm.
as
Yeah.
soon as they would smile, they'd be like, "Oh, they're ugly." I'm like, "What?"
Mhm.
And then with the skin, obviously, yeah,
Oh yeah, you would get teased, and I remember it was horrible in school with some people I knew that had like bad skin. It was traumatizing for them. They would get called pizza face or then crater face, all types of like horrible names for having bad skin. I was thinking back. I didn't mean to backtrack, but I don't mean to backtrack. But you mentioned how like when you were growing up, having big lips like wasn't a thing to be proud of, and people would tease you, and now it's like a cool thing. And I said like people now are trying to like achieve that, how we had mentioned before. I'm getting tongue tied, but now it's like fetishized. So that's like the negative aspect. But I think like the positive aspect of that now is that like, especially with people of color, if you're not like fetishizing it or exotifying it, it can be looked as a positive, because I think like as people and as we grow, we have to unlearn a lot of the things that we were taught, because having big lips was like never a bad thing. So I really like now that people who maybe when they were younger would make fun of it are now like, no, that is attractive, but for positive reasons. It's more like I'm unlearning some of the things that were ingrained in me, some of that self-hate, because it's like prevalent, especially in the Black community, to hate ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree. Chris, when you mentioned skincare,
Mm-hmm.
which is definitely a big thing. And I know me, that's another journey like I know I went through, because back in high school I didn't wear makeup at all. And like I would get really bad breakout.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I ate certain foods, like if I drank too much soda or like chocolate, like the next day, guaranteed, like I would have like a huge pimple on my face. So yeah, that's something definitely prevalent now, and it's big now is skincare. Like I don't know if guys focus on skincare. I don't know if it's big with men,
Mm-hmm.
but I know for girls, it's for sure like a lot of girls, and even me, I'll confess, I spent a lot of money
Mm-hmm.
on skincare products, and some of it works, some of it don't, it's so yeah. And the teeth thing is definitely true as well. um I don't really have crooked teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Like my whole life, I'm planning on getting braces, because it's like no, because dentists have told my parents like Shamir needs braces,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason they never did.
Mm-hmm.
So because I do have like I have like, how do you call that, fangs. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I have
I
like two
like
fangs. I
I
have like vampire teeth right here,
Oh wait,
and
fangs are considered unattractive?
I love fangs. I think people.
I don't.
Is that what you were saying? You were picked on for your fangs?
No. I'm just
Oh,
saying, like my teeth are not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm
oh
saying.
wait. That's what I'm saying. Like your teeth is not perfect because you have fangs?
No.
Oh, I was like,
Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't know, but I have like teeth that are like overlapping.
Mm-hmm.
Not like major, like up, like far from far, you won't notice, but up close, like you will notice. But I'm just saying, like health wise, like it's not really good, because over time it's gonna get worse. So some people like me, if you need to get braces, just like health wise, so your teeth doesn't like get bad.
Shift and spread and.
Yeah, like shift and stuff like that. So yeah, not to say like my teeth are ugly or horrible, but just for the health side of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is true. That people with perfect pearly whites,
mhm.
do get deemed as the more attractive person.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it I could understand as far as like, hey, obviously, you don't want to allow your teeth to become so yellow that, yeah, brush up, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or hey, you don't want to become so skinny where it's like it could be unhealthy. There is some unhealthy aspects to those degrees, or like you get so overweight that, or I don't know what, or I don't know, or you don't take care. I mean, it doesn't matter what name brand clothes, but you don't take care of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
where it looks like you're homeless. I get that aspect. Like, obviously, you want to take care of yourself. But I think just as that is like health-wise, that's looked upon like, yeah, definitely want to be careful. I would say it should be the same reason you should look out for trying to do things to yourself to make yourself seem more beautiful that could harm you in the long run as well. That
Mm-hmm.
should be
Mm-hmm.
some health warnings, health aspects as well. So like, you know, I know there's some people they're fine with getting, surgeries or whatnot to look a certain way, but it can and it has caused problems in the long run
Mm-hmm.
with certain things. Um, medically, whether it's, and the cost too. How much does it cost to try to keep this image of what a lot of people consider like the most beautiful
Mm-hmm.
guy, most beautiful girl? Like, how much are you spending? And so whether it's steroids, whether it's, whatever, it costs. And so I feel like the way that it's going to, it could be a negative impact to, it affects your health as well. And some people, I know they lose it. They go
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
No,
Oh yeah. Oh, go ahead, please.
no, you go.
No, like I was gonna say, like, yeah, like it's crazy how like what we were saying about like how non-black people would want to gain black features and stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
would pay like thousands thousands of dollars to like look like the Kardashians. I didn't want to say that name, but
Yeah, I mean it's true. True.
I didn't want to say things, but
Culture,
culture, like
pop
I
culture.
feel like they kind of. I'm just saying their names because they're kind of like I don't want to. They're like I'm trying to think of a name. The standard, I guess,
Mm.
when it comes to like surgery culture,
Mm-hmm.
because they've altered their bodies so much. Like I remember, I think not too long ago, I think when we were researching this, I was looking at like Kylie like before pre-surgery, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
huge difference,
Huge.
huge difference.
Everything.
And it's sad because it's like a lot of girls look up to these people,
Yeah.
and they grow up like, I want to have those lips or those curves or the butt and things like that, and they're willing to, some girls, lose their lives, going to doctors who are not official doctors, and you know and a lot of women have virtually like died,
Mm-hmm.
trying to reach that
Yeah.
standard. um so yeah, that was what I was going to say.
It's
No,
not only financially, it's the cost of your life. Like, but
Yeah.
yeah, you were saying, Rihanna?
no, that's true. Like I struggle. I guess growing up, I more so struggled with, I guess, body image issues because some people they want to be really skinny and they'll have like they'll try to do all these things to achieve that. I think when it comes to women of color, at all ages, you're taught that, I mean, naturally, women of color, you're naturally like thicker and curvy, but that's not everyone. Like, because we all are made different. God makes us all differently. So when you have that standard in front of you, you want to achieve that. And so I think that was like also a struggle, especially when I was in middle school and high school, because when I was growing up, I mean, I'm a 90s kid, so I grew up in like the TRL years, like the 106 in Park, where you would like watching videos all day. It was like a thing. Like you wanted to see the latest video, you wanted to watch all these shows, but also like that's when you had like the video vixen, and like usually it was quote unquote the exotic woman in all the rap videos with the curvy features, whether it was bought or not. And that was constantly like being fed to me growing up, that this one standard of beauty and how you should physically look. And I think that can be a problem. That's why your visual diet is so important, and you should definitely have your video media intakes in moderation for what feels right for your spirit. So that's what I wanted to say with that. And as far as like the Kardashians, it's like, it goes back to what we were saying, like you want to be black, but you don't want to be black. Like, period. Like, it's like down to like culture. Black people have been wearing cornrows and, you know, just box braids forever. And it was told that that's deemed as like ghetto, or you can't wear that to work. So, you know, we would put perms, a lot of us would put perms in our hair to try to fit this box of how we should look to be appropriate and assimilate. But then as soon as like someone who's white or in high fashion, or like the Kardashians wear braids, it's like the newest trend. Like it isn't cool until they take from the community, appropriate the culture, and put a label on it, and they say, okay, now it's acceptable for you to wear braids to work. So now you see all these non-Black women wearing boxer braids, and it's looked at as high fashion. And when Black women wear it, it's looked at as ghetto. So that's a problem within itself. And it's just like they're looked at as exotic, you know? So it's like I was saying, they have like all the Black features that are acceptable now, like, oh, the big lips now, you know, the curvy figure, you know, but they're not dark skinned, and, you know, they're from, you know, they're Armenian and white. So they're exotic. They're the type of, that's the look that you have to go for. That's the look that you see a lot of basketball players and celebrities and just people in that community, in the entertainment industry, dating. And it further perpetuates like that stereotype and that pressure, especially on young girls, to achieve that.
You mentioned something, and it made me think of, so like when you were in school, especially middle school, some people are hitting puberty, some people are not. I remember, bro, in middle school, I'm like, yo, how are you so tall? And how do you get all that facial hair? Like, what? I don't even think I hit puberty yet. And, you know, it felt like sometimes it's because certain people, you know, they were repeating grades. But nevertheless, I'm serious. Like, yo, you what? 15? You still in middle school? Yo. But nevertheless, even in high school, which age did play a role in it too. That's another thing. When you're younger, those who seemed older or looked like they hit puberty faster because it seemed like they were more mature. That was the more attractive guy. I guess puberty in the same way for a female was like if her body was growing, you know, whatever. But so yeah, that it made me think of that. It's like I could just imagine, you know, our teams, if they're going through that as well. Because I remember that in middle school, especially middle school, but in high school as well. It's like, yeah, people are still growing, but those who seem to have the adult features
Mm-hmm.
already, they were deemed more beautiful. And then when you get older, it's like, okay, now I'm getting too old. Some of these beauty features are being lost, which is another whole aspect of age. It's like what happens when that beauty starts to fade away. And there's a lot of money invested to make sure that beauty doesn't fade away, to make sure wrinkles are not coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're trying to go back in time.
No, that's a good point, because like puberty is the thing, and like your body is you're constantly growing and changing and evolving and becoming into adult. So you don't know what you're gonna look like years from now. Like you have to take time to let yourself develop. And I don't feel like, from my personal opinion, Kylie Jenner, I know it's like the norm in that lifestyle, that rich and famous Hollywood lifestyle, to like have surgery at a young age, but she was too young to start getting all those procedures done. It's like she didn't even develop into who she would be as a woman. So that's a lot. But I do remember, like in not elementary school, but middle school, it would be like that one classmate, like let's say a guy friend in class, and he would be very short, tiny, squeaky voice. And then summer hits, and then y'all go back to school, and it's like high school now, and then he's like tall, deep voice. It's like, wait, what happened to you? So you just got to give yourself time, I think, to grow and evolve, and not put pressure on yourself to look like what you see on social media, because a lot of it's fake.
I remember having that squeaky voice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to deepen my voice. That was a whole nother thing too. A deeper voice. Reminds me of Gio. Shout out to Gio. Gio, if you see this, bro. I remember when he came into YOUmedia, he was just squeaky voice. We have video.
He showed me some of them.
But then you grow, and you realize, oh, okay, I didn't have to rush for certain features. And then, so I wanted to ask you guys, what do you consider beautiful? Not just the media and but what do you consider beautiful?
Some words that I would like associate with beauty is, I guess,
say that one time.
Confidence. Oh, I was saying words that associate with beauty is like confidence in yourself, confidence in who you are, in what God made you, confidence. That's the only word I can think of right now. I feel like once you're confident, kind of like what I said earlier, like you don't allow, you kind of push out or tune out like the pressure, people or culture give to you. Because if you're not confident in yourself, that's what insecurity is. At the end of the day, is you look at yourself and you're seeing, something in you or on the outside of you is not good enough, because you're comparing yourself to culture, what culture is feeding us. And like what Vianney says, like recommend is like we kind of have to like fast sometimes from culture, like in a way, like for me, like sometimes I would like fast social media, like take a couple months and just kind of get away with it, because sometimes it could be so much, because everyone culture, that's all they do, they're selling us all these things. And a lot of times we have to break away from that, especially if you're not confident in who you are.
I want to can I dive a little deeper with you, Shamir, really quick on that?
Yeah.
So in gaining that confidence though, did it gain when did someone have to tell you like, hey, you are beautiful? What does it take to have that confidence? Like
for me, affirmation I received was like through my mother. My mother was through my mother, my mama bear. um, she would constantly like growing up tell me, you know, how beautiful I was, you know, you're special, you're beautiful, and all that stuff. Um, so I think also family could play a role in insecurities as well, because if you grew up, some people like grow up in a home where they don't get that affirmation, and because they don't get that affirmation, they conclude to themselves like, okay, something's wrong about me because my mom or my dad is not telling me, you know, that I'm beautiful, you know, and I go to school and I'm not getting that affirmation, and something's wrong with me and I need to change something about me. And then they, you know, look to like plastic surgery and all these things. So there's like a number of factors that could play into like, you know, insecurities as well. But I forgot, did I answer the question?
Yeah, no, that was good. That was good.
So yeah, like my mom, okay, I remember my answer. So my mom, you know, affirming my beauty to me, definitely helped. Also, another thing personally for me was my faith played a huge role in my confidence because like I said before, like back in my teenage years, I was super insecure. And for me, it wasn't until I received my faith that I gained this boldness and confidence in me. So, like I used to be super self-conscious. Like I always worried about like I was in the room like, man, what does Vianney think about me? What does Chris think about me? Like, do they like me? Am I beautiful? You know, to them and stuff like that. I was super self-conscious about how people viewed me. I felt like once I gained my faith, that completely went away, and I didn't care. Like I would dress super weird. Like I used to wear like Converse, like different colors, like a red one and a black one, and I didn't care. Was it normal back then? High school, no. But I didn't care. And it got to the point where people thought it was cool, like, oh, Shamir's different, you know? People viewed me differently and they didn't ridicule me for it. It was just, okay, you know, that's Shamir's vibe. So yeah, it was definitely my mom and my faith that helped me with my confidence, for sure.
Yanni.
Yeah.
So there's two
Two
questions.
full
Well,
questions.
there's one question that starts it off. What do you consider beautiful?
I think I mean I feel like what I'm gonna say is really cliche. I think what's beautiful is someone, well, like Shamir said, confidence. No matter what you look like, if you're not traditionally like you don't reach like society standards of beauty, but you still stand in your own you still stand for yourself and you let the world know like I'm here, I'm beautiful, and I don't care what you think of me. I think that is beautiful. When I see like women who are a bigger size, like plus size, like when I look at Lizzo and how she's embracing her body and she does not care like what they say in the comments, I think that's beautiful. If someone has like unique features that were once deemed ugly, and for them to like take selfies and like use social media for good and like show like, yeah, I have big lips, yeah, I have all these freckles on my face, which women now are actually putting fake freckles on their face, and I'm still beautiful. You know, it's like I think confidence is beautiful, and not seeking validation from the outside world to recognize that you're beautiful. I also think inner beauty is important as well. So who you are as a person and your soul and just your energy. I think if you have, some people could just have like a beautiful energy. They may not be like the model type, you know, quote unquote, or, you know, they just maybe to themselves, they may say, you know, I'm an average person, but I have a good heart and maybe I'm a person of God or a person of good character if you don't believe in God, you know, that's beautiful to me, like the person's heart. And I think your energy speaks sometimes before who you are, before your beauty does, because you can meet a lot of people who are like traditionally beautiful with standard, like the beauty standards, they reach that, but they're ugly on the inside. They have a stuck up attitude, just like bad energy. And when you feel their energy, you look at them in a completely different light. You're just like, it kind of knocks down like their physical beauty, because that's not all that matters in the world. And I think, you know, my confidence is honestly a work in progress for many reasons. I've always had somewhat of a low self-esteem ever since I was younger, because I always wanted to be in the entertainment industry, and I was fascinated by the media, and that also played an effect on my psyche, as well as just growing up and seeing how like toxic masculinity has been filtered into like the opposite sex, which is like boys compared to girls. The stereotypes that they would put on women and the pressure they would put on young girls or women or whoever to look a certain way on top of the media was hard for me. And even as an adult, like I still struggle. But what I'm learning, and what the women around me and my family, I have a lot of like older cousins and aunts and my mom, who just affirm me constantly. Like my whole life, they constantly affirm me. And I, you know, strongly encourage, like, if you have any teens that have like younger siblings, like, or cousins or whoever, affirm them. Your friends, affirm them. Affirm yourself. Affirm yourself. Like, even when you don't believe that you're beautiful, like, start looking in the mirror and telling yourself, like, you're beautiful. Because the more you tell yourself that, the more you'll start to believe it, you know? And I had to learn, like, in short, trying to sum it up, that you are more than just your physical features. Like, it's great. Like, I think hygiene wise, it's nice to put yourself together, to beat your face and to wear nice clothes. And, you know, you want to look presentable if that's what is important to you. But what really matters is like, do you have good character? You know, are you a respectful person? Can people trust you? You know, when people meet you, like, are you likable? I think that is more important. Like, when you pass away down the line, hopefully it's like when you're 100 years from now, or, you know, maybe for me, I'm a little bit older, so soon, but not too soon.
No.
You know, like, not that soon, but you know what I'm going with this. Like, when I pass away, hopefully it's like 100 and something. I think like people aren't going to be like, they may say, oh, she was a beautiful person, but they really, as far as physical, but they're more so going to talk about the memories, how I made them feel. Like, how did you feel when you were around this person? And I think that's more important than just physical.
So it seems like more on the characteristic side,
Mm-hmm.
like of who you are. And I know some people find like people who are funny, attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Some people find who are, once again, I was saying earlier, intelligent, whatnot, trustworthy, someone who's faithful, right? Someone who is confident, they know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether that's like in Christ, and which funny, you know, Jesus is described in the Bible as not an attractive guy. He's
Yeah.
I forgot he's whatever. He wasn't attractive, and it makes me think like, yeah, God would create us, and when He would come as a man, He didn't even care to be like that attractive human being, for good reasons too, because you know, people, I feel like we are, and I'm not gonna lie, I fell into it too. We are shallow to what beauty is, and I'm not gonna lie. When you were talking about like the toxic masculinity, I remember being in middle school. I'm dealing with my own issues, And then I'm placing standards on the opposite sex. I'm placing standards on these girls to like, oh yeah, this is what I think is beautiful and whatnot. And then you have to go and you have to learn like, yeah, how far is that going to get you? Like, because I think you hit it on the head when you said there's these girls, or whether for you guys, there's females and males that could look so attractive, and yet their heart is so ugly. It's like, bro, it's woo. You need to. And when you said that, I was like, that's so true. Like, and I'm sure our teens, I'm sure they could see that. I'm sure they probably came across, and it's kind of played in movies too. You kind of see that sometimes, at least sometimes, where it's like this person that people found so attractive and so they thought they were going to be like the bomb, only to find out, wow, it was superficial, it was shallow. And so yeah, I agree with both of what you guys said.
Yeah. My mom used to always say, beauty fades, dumb is forever.
Man, we gonna be old one day. I have any wrinkles. I'm oh, and I wanted to share that. I was like, so also, I think with some people, they feel like they need to affirm that beauty is like being in a relationship. To affirm that. And so sometimes I'll be honest with my wife. I'll be like, babe, how do you still love me? Because I'll be looking at myself like, bro, I need to.
Like, I'm looking rough today.
I ain't the most attractive person. Let me just be honest. But and I'm sure there's times where she feels that way too. And so, but it is, hey, like, to affirm that beauty in each other, it is important. It is, to love one another. But we understand that beauty is much more than just the physical. And because that physical beauty is going to fade away. I mean, my wife, God willing, we do get older. We're both going to be, I'm going to be teeth missing. I might be bald.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, if that's your only standard, it could be really shallow. So, yeah. Anyways, what?
It's true.
Yeah, we're about to hit an hour and a half.
No, it's such a good topic, and once we get back into the space, I definitely think we should like continue this topic as well with the teens. I know that they would have a lot to share with their experiences.
Let me encourage y'all. It's okay. Put the photo up. I don't care if you don't get that much likes. Yourself. You don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah, that started to affect me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna keep it going. I know we have to like end soon, but if a photo, like when I was like really into social media, if I would put it up and it doesn't get a lot of likes, I would be like, dang, like.
Or you would like immediately delete it.
Like, let me take this one down because I'm like, what's up? Like this one got like 300, this one got like 47. Like, what y'all trying to say? What you trying to say? But that's why it's problematic, because like you're feeding that ego with social media, and you're also like, it's using it for a validation tool, because it's like, oh, the more likes I get, the more I feel confident and validated, and it shouldn't be that way. You should just post the picture because you like the picture, and whether anybody likes it or not, like, you think you look good, so I'm just gonna post it, and I had to learn that myself. But yeah, so good combo. I know y'all ready to go. It's like, it's time to eat. It's getting.
Oh no, I could talk all day, but this was a really good talk.
Same.
Really good.
I'm hungry. I'm hungry, y'all.
I'll make us go ahead.
Yeah. But thank you so much, guys, for tuning in to today's podcast. Hopefully we can continue this discussion in the comment section. You know, you can comment on our YouTube, on our Instagram, or we can even bring this back up once we get back into the space. I don't know why I'm saying safe. Into the space. Also, we do not have a podcast on Friday. Just wanted to let you know this Friday there will be no podcast. So sorry. But there will be more to come. Check us out next Monday for our next podcast.
Bravo.
Bye-bye.
Hi, guys.